Okay, so today we're going to be making the blind flange in Autodesk Inventor. So I'm going to start by actually just closing out this 3D model because we're going to make a new one. We'll click on New. We're going to select standard.ipt for the type of new file that we're going to start with. The nice thing about Inventor is there's no necessarily like a template file like we had to make for AutoCAD. So to get started with anything in Inventor, the first thing I like to do is we're going to go over to the left to our browser window here and open up our origin folder, and we just want to select all of our Cartesian coordinate objects here by holding Shift on the keyboard and left clicking the center point, and that'll select all of them. As long as you start with the YZ plane highlighted, it'll select everything in between. Then we can just right click on one of them and select visibility, and that makes all of our planes and axes and our center point visible. And then we press F6 and that gives us this nice isometric view, or we can always click and drag and select edges and things like that of our view cube. Press F6 again, that returns us back to our isometric view. So we look in AutoCAD and pull up our drawing there. We can see that we've got a disc that is 6 1/4 inches in diameter and it is 1/2 inch thick. And then we'll start worrying about the holes after we make that initial disc. So let's jump back over to Inventor. So we're going to draw it on this plane facing this direction. So we'll just select the edge of that plane and then we click Create Sketch, or the other way we could do that, hit Escape to exit that. We can click Start 2D Sketch and then we can just click on one of our plane edges there. That brings us there. Now, I prefer to draw things from the center, but it doesn't actually matter for this particular part. But we're just going to start by drawing a circle. The size of the circle does not matter at this point. We'll hit Escape to exit the circle tool, and then we're going to dimension that circle to be 6 1/4 in diameter, so 6.25. Enter. And the way we brought up the dimension tool is just click Dimension right there. And we just click the edge of our circle, and that brought up the dimension. Okay, you can hit Escape to exit dimension, and then we're done with that sketch. We're not going to draw our tools or our holes in here. We want to do as many features separately as we can. So we're going to make our disc first. So we'll click Finish Sketch, and you'll see we have our circle there. And we're going to now we're in our 3D Model tab here. Should automatically move you over to there. And we only have one feature here that we could extrude, so we're going to click Extrude. You'll see it automatically selected our circle. Sometimes you might have to click it. So we've got our Extrude menu up here, Input Geometry. It's found our one profile that we needed from the one sketch plane. That's good. Our direction, again, doesn't really matter for this particular object. I actually like to keep things symmetric when I can. And then our distance is going to be 1/2 inch, so we'll type 0.5 there. And we don't really need to change any of the advanced properties, so we'll just click OK. So there we have our 1/2 inch thick by 6 1/4 in diameter disc. So now we're going to select just the front face of the disc. That's where we're going to draw one of our holes. We're just going to put one there, and we'll use a different tool to make a pattern of holes. So we'll click on Create Sketch there, and that brings us to the front. Now, just to reiterate, we're drawing, if I look at the side view here, we're not drawing on this middle plane. We're drawing on the front surface of our disc for this. So this surface right here. So to lay out our holes, they exist on a circle that is 5 5/8 in diameter. And they are 1/2 inch in diameter, and we have 12 of them total. So we're going to start by drawing a layout circle. So we're going to click on Circle, but before we draw our circle in the middle here, the next thing I want to do is we're going to select this construction line button up here under Format. It's like this orange colored Y thing. We'll turn that on. This is a modal command, so anytime you draw a line or an arc or a circle after that, or rectangle, it will be construction until you turn it off. What that does is that just gives us like a, again, kind of a layout where it won't be part of the feature, but we can reference that geometry. And then we'll just hit D for dimension on our keyboard, and we'll select that. We said it was 5 5/8, so 5.625, and hit enter. And then for a hole, rather than drawing a circle, so we're going to turn off construction up here, by the way. Rather than drawing a circle, we're just going to use the point tool. We're just going to put a point all the way here on the right, and then we'll finish our sketch. So all we did was we drew a circle at the correct diameter, and we put a single point on it. Now we can use the hole tool and put in our 1/2 inch hole. Because we only have one point on the drawing, it automatically found it. So that's where it's selecting the geometry from. Again, one position there. Type of hole, we just want a simple hole. No seat. Termination is going to be through all, so hover over these. That one's at through all. That's what we've got selected. And our direction does matter in this case, because if we go the other way, there's nothing to drill through. And if we go symmetric, again, there's nothing to drill into, so we'll keep it there. And then we want this to be 1/2 inch, as we said before. And we'll click OK. So now we have one hole. We do not need to repeat that process 11 more times. Very simply, all we're going to do to finish this up is we're going to go over to the Pattern tab here. And we're going to select Circular. And it wants to know what features are we patterning. We're patterning our holes. So we'll go over here to the browser and click it there. You see it's been selected. And then it wants rotation axis. And we see like this red box for an arrow. So we're going to select on that box. And what that does, that allows us to select an axis to rotate around. And that's just the axis that's going through the center here. So we'll click there and you see it's previewing our holes. And we want 12 of them total, so we can type that in. And it's going around 360 degrees. The direction of rotation doesn't matter in this case. Or the fact that they rotate or don't rotate doesn't matter because these are cylindrical objects. We just click OK. And our blind flange is done.